Hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode of Contact Lost, where we prep for the upcoming London Grand Tournament. And today, I, Joker, will be talking with some of the judges of the event. So please welcome Typhus
Hello.
and Pumba.
Hello, everybody. Long time
Like
no.
those are completely new faces. You've never seen us here, correct? Like
Yeah, exactly.
First time
First
guest.
time guests. Very happy to have you, such celebrities, and so on and so forth.
at this point, I feel like a person in reality show that you have the same actor who's just playing different roles, and
It's
you
a-
see
it's an
interviews with
You just
ongoing
switch
sitcom.
wigs.
yes.
Yeah, we should switch nicknames then as well for each
Right.
rendition that we do.
Next time I'll be the captain of Team Poland, and he will be
No one.
no one. Such a switch.
The new guy that's up and coming,
Exactly.
Yes.
who
Anyway,
nobody ever
Anyway.
heard of him. Anyway, right, yeah. So the topic of today's episode will be refereeing at the LGT, but before we dive into that, I was actually going to ask you guys about refereeing in general. So, like, how did you get into it, and like, what's in it for you? Because I can't, I don't think I would manage to referee a whole event. So maybe let's start with Pumba.
So starting with the first question, I guess. How did you get into refereeing? I think the story begins last year when Zach asked the organizer of LGT asked New Kerr to come and ref for him to the LGT, and he needed some additional staff. So he asked Typhus, who was a couple of times WTC ref, and then Typhus asked me.
and by
because I-
couple, Pumba means once.
Fair enough. One is enough, I guess.
I also thought it was more times
More than one,
than
right?
just once.
Yeah, but I sold them out as well. I'm good at that.
Just marketing, literally just marketing. So back to the topic and to the question. So yeah, this is how we got into refing UKTC events. I think we were just quite good at it, and we enjoyed the whole thing, which is I think our most like our biggest strength. We just enjoy going and refing instead of playing the event, since you have such a big scene of players in UK. But I mean, if you're there, you probably want to play in the event instead of ref it, and we just don't mind coming and just refing like as a social event mainly.
And we can talk shit.
Exactly, we can talk shit about people. We can talk in Polish in front of their tables and like.
And they won't understand. That's
Exactly,
like
that's glorious.
As you talk shit
the
about them.
Exactly,
yes.
that's a
Yeah,
constant
okay.
theme.
Although it's kind of awkward when actually someone is Polish.
That
And-
happened a couple of times, yes.
Yeah, it was a setback, I would say, but we managed to pull through.
Yep. So that's generally how the story goes, or how we became the refs, and we've been to the UKTC events. I think I was like 4 times altogether. I mean, you still need to like schedule your holidays and free days and stuff like this, and flights and your general life around it. So I can't go to every single one of them, but every time I'm asked to come, I try to make time.
Yeah, so, kind of similar with me. I think like the question you asked, Joker, was rather being a ref at all rather than being a ref for this particular event or like the tournament circuit.
Yeah, it was.
I mean, for me, the main, I think how it started was me being fed up with the game, and I just like the social part. And refereeing, whilst it requires some rules knowledge, isn't purely about rules knowledge, and rather about you being willing to check up those rules while having good attitude. So I've started refing some tournaments in Poland. Then I was fed up with the game, so I refed a few international tournaments, and then Neil offered us a spot at LGT, and that's how this story goes, basically.
My story is kind of the other way, though. I think I started to get into reffing by just knowing rules well. I think I just wanted to get better at the game, so the natural thing for me was reading a lot of rules, like small interactions and all the FAQs and stuff. So I just became known in the Polish community for a person who just knows stuff. Just most of the time, if the rule is asked, I at least have like a brief memory of reading it somewhere, so I can find it very easily and just quote it, for example. I think I became
You're literally our Wikipedia bot on
that's
Yeah,
pretty
Discord.
much
We
that's
have a
pretty much
specific
unique
tag.
thing, right?
On
we
the
have
Discord.
specific role for you that people can tag only you to get their answers. So
Yep, pretty much.
you've been. How do you
Speaks
feel being
volumes.
objectified?
That's my usual stuff. It's nothing new for me.
Okay, okay,
I like
Uh,
that shit.
I can confirm that. Anyway,
Excellent. So you kind of answered the second question I was going to ask, which was how did you become Duchess at LGT specifically? But instead, I can ask, has the ref team changed, or is it the same people that were there last year? Because I think last year, I remember we did a podcast on that, but I think it was just the three of you, so the two of you here and Neil. Do you know if that's first of all, if is that correct? And second of all, do you know if that's the case this time as well, or are there more people dedicated to refereeing?
so let me answer that. So basically, after discovering us, Zach realized that Polish people are just cheap labor. So he reached out to us and said, "Can I get more cheap guys from Poland?" And we were like, "Easy." So, but truthfully, like Zach was looking for more people that somebody can vouch for as a referees. And as me and Pumba were the most common guys to actually attend his events as refs, he reached out to us whether we wanna vouch for someone and give them an option to ref. And I think it grew a lot because from initially it was supposed to be like a third person, I think. Maybe you remember Pumba, but
I think it was supposed to be like one more person, and then he asked us if we could bring like a couple more. So basically, the team grew. I think because the cost of bringing more refs isn't that much, and it helps immensely during the event itself. But yeah, generally we are the crew. I think because as I've discussed previously, like we are willing to do it, and it's just fun for us. It's a fun thing to do. It's a fun thing to be able to come to LGT, which is a huge event, something like unlike anything that's happening in Poland. And those types of events are just a social aspect of it. That's a huge thing. You can watch the
and
meta.
we
You can watch
wouldn't go there to play anyway.
Exactly, that's the thing. I think I wouldn't care enough to play singles, especially for like for the price like of the flights and accommodations, stuff like that, and transport in the UK is just too much for me. So that's just an opportunity to go there and enjoy the Warhammer from this perspective in the completely another place, right? So I think the same appeal. It has a similar appeal for all of us, or like all the people that we're bringing.
So who else is going? How many people are there going to be being refs for the biggest event in Europe?
I think there's one UK guy, Glorak, or that's his nickname. I think he's been handling some of the UK events already.
Yep.
And then we have Dave, which some of you might know as he was 2 times WTC ref. There's our Harlequin player from WTC that you might have heard on this podcast already, and Everett, which is another guy who basically knows the rules as Pumba does.
Pretty much. He's a guy from Poznan as well. He's a mate of Myson, who's also coming. I think that's all. We have like 5 polls, right?
Yeah, and one British guy to whip us.
Basically,
Make sure. Yeah.
to be our overlord.
I mean, Brits have that
Supervisor.
in Brits have that in blood, right?
Yes,
you
obviously.
just need to whip some Eastern neighbor slaves. Easy.
Easy stuff, right? And how does refereeing for such an event work? I mean, it's 900-ish participants and 6 of you. So how does one go about, calling a judge even? And how do you handle answering those calls? Pumba, your turn, I guess.
So last year we had a really nice system of just radio calls. Basically, you could submit your problem to a WhatsApp. It would go through a hub, and then we would get a call through our radio that there is a judge needed at table X, Y, and Z, right? I think we are doing a similar thing this time. However, this time there are just more of us in the field, so we will be more visible perhaps, and we could take care of it on the spot instead of just through the hub by just us being.
You say that,
Mhm.
but last year was it like what 500 people? If it's
think
true
more.
that we will have 900 people, it's like the whole bottom floor of that arena. We won't be more visible.
I think that was like I mean, we are definitely going to have radios on us, so we can call each other and like consult rules with each other. More than anything, I think it's about like being able to call a judge through the hub itself, and us getting our calls through the radio. We are gonna be wired in, have the little like security earpieces
Basically talkie-walkie set.
Pretty much.
And walkie-talkie, because talkie-walkie is I think in Spanish. Well, I'm not kidding. Talkie-walkie is a name for it in Spanish or French, and walkie-talkie is in English.
That's
anyway,
easier for you. So yeah. Anyway, from the from the logistics points of view, that's basically how it's gonna work. So yeah, that's pretty much it, right? I think there's nothing to add. If you think there is, Typhus?
No, not really.
Yep.
I think that's a great system overall. Like,
yeah, overall, last year it worked flawlessly, I think.
As a player myself, if I think about having such a system, man, that's glorious. Like, it's actually great.
Mhm.
So
It's
I think
very
it's a great solution.
prepared. It also,
Right.
I think, was implemented by Neil and just straight up stolen from Zach after talking to him during WTC, and it worked wonders there as well. So it's just proven at this point.
So if you could summarize for the people that are actually going, hopefully listening to this, what does one need to have to be able to reach out to you guys? So do they need
WhatsApp.
to text WhatsApp?
Exactly.
Yeah, WhatsApp. I think
have-
WhatsApp was the only prerequisition.
Yep. You
Okay,
have WhatsApp, you have a special number, and you just text it. That's it.
right. Do you have that special number, or can perhaps
I think
link
it will be. I
later?
think it will be sent out in like mails just before the
Oh,
event. I
okay.
think
The
Zach has
registration
like
packs.
specific newsletter, etc., that he sends.
Exactly.
Okay. So, guys, watch out for those if you're going, as that might be a piece of critical information and a chance to meet our wonderful guests in person as well.
Also, if I just might add that if you just see us on the floor and you have any question, and we will be walking around all the time. I think last year we've done like 70 fucking kilometers or something, just walking the floors.
Yeah, I
the
remember.
venue is
I
just
had
humongous.
70 kilometers over 4 days.
Yeah, pretty much. So we will be walking around all the time. And if you just want to actually get some questions answered and you just see us and catch us this way, feel free to do so. We are always there to help. I think that's a huge part. And I've heard that. I've heard actually contact lost with Ines that you've done a couple of days ago, I think. And
Yeah.
he said that in general, in the like British tournament scene, it is just kind of a
There's a
stigma
stigma.
exactly around calling a judge, And as a judge, I just want to make that very clear that for us, it's a very normal thing to do, just to ask a judge for a clarification on anything. And if you feel like you have a problem with a rule, you want to ask even some questions about how to interpret some things, or just, I don't know, check a line of sight or anything. We are there to help people. We are there to solve situations like that, and we are happy to help. I think this is very we are not there for
to penalize
people at all. It is not what we enjoy doing at all, and it very rarely happens, if not almost never happens. We are there to actually make sure that the game is played properly. So if you have any doubts about a rule, just try to catch us or just text the WhatsApp. Really, just do it. You will make sure that the game is run properly, and there shouldn't be any bad blood about it.
Exactly. Calling a judge doesn't make you that guy.
Not at all. I think the opposite.
Okay, yeah, thanks for that remark. I think that's very valuable. Let's go on to the rules themselves, because as we know, G-dubs aren't always the best at writing rules. They're not always releasing FAQs on time, and for example, I guess the Demon Codex might make the cut-off date, but it's not FAQ'd. So to that end, do you guys prepare an FAQ, something akin to the WTC rules pack?
Pretty much, yes. That is the case. The way we do this is we literally answer the questions that Zax receives on the special email that he has prepared. It's in the tournament pack, so if you have any questions like this you would like to have answered before the event, you can always just send it to that email, and it would get transferred to Zach or to us. And we basically consult. Every one of the judges has a chance to consult on how the specific ruling goes.
So does the corn relic that adds +1 to your saving throw actually adds +1 to your unmodifiable demon save throw?
That is currently unanswered, and I will not be giving out an answer right now because I have no fucking idea how to rule that for the time being.
Sure, that was obviously a provocation. Yeah, sorry to
be answered,
steal your
probably.
thunder.
To be answered.
Okay, so it's you don't add anything from like your own perspective, so to say, or like something that you would think could be a situation that might need a judge's call. It's just answering. It's just an FAQ from the questions that players send over to Zach. Is it?
It's mostly that, although sometimes there are situations in which I would just have a question myself, right?
I think a few of those.
Yeah, we've encountered a specific interaction, in our play, because we are players as well, of course, or we've seen it discussed in our Discord, and we have already had a discussion there about it, or we have something from WTC FAQ that has a specific asset there, but is, for example, not very rules as written. And one of the main principles of the UKTC events that we've discussed is being as close to the rules as written as possible, without being abusive and without basically breaking the game. Because sometimes playing just strictly as much as possible rules as written just creates ridiculous situations, and then we try to avoid that. So yes, it's mostly the questions, but we also throw in stuff ourselves some of the time, and we try to stick to the rules as written as much as possible without creating some absolute ridiculous interactions, for example.
Okay, and I assume that's also linked in the registration emails.
Yes, the FAQ is definitely up on all of the Facebook pages and the main website for LGT and all of the UKTC events. You have a specific document with the judges' FAQ and answers.
Yeah, so guys, be sure to check that out before going, or even before submitting your lists. As it
I
might
would recommend that. Yes.
it might impact what you bring.
every rule set, every terrain set and stuff always should dictate how you build your list. So definitely check that out beforehand.
Funny you mentioned terrain, because that's the next question I was going to ask. Because we in Poland play strictly on WTC terrain packs, even though recently people have started to dislike them, or at least some of the setups. But can you tell us anything about the terrain that's going to be at the LGT? Typhus, I guess it's your turn.
Well, the thing that you need to remember that not all of the ruins are 5 inches high. I think that's the thing that we caught the most when we saw people playing the games, myself included. I initially assumed they would be 5 inches high, but like the smaller ruins aren't, so obscuring doesn't apply in all its glory. But I would say they're like you just need to see the terrain because it will just impact your games as Pumba said. So I do not have anything very specific to add. Maybe Pumba, you have something.
Like from what I've seen and how the game is played on these terrains, it definitely differs a lot from any other pack. It has its own
Dynamic.
its own flow basically, as every single like terrain pack has its own flow to the game, and it kind of dictates the meta in its own way. How I would define this specific pack is similar to like not the whole pack is similar to, but in a couple of ways it's similar to GDABs in the sense that there is almost no dense cover on the tables. There's very few, and that's you can avoid that pretty easily. There is literally no difficult terrain at all, which is also something that you just basically can ignore the that keyword. Like whereas when playing WTC, you'd notice a lot of forests that have difficult ground on the tables, and in the line of on those specific paths that you would probably take from going ruin to ruin or stuff like this, you would encounter a couple of dense, difficult terrain pieces that would slow you down. That's the UKDC terrain pack has almost none of that. Other stuff differs a lot is, for example, the medium ruins, which are obscuring, but they have a specific base that overhangs like from the other side of the ruin. So for like outside of the ruin, if you come close enough and step on it, you would be able to see through it. You would never be able to do that, for example, on WTC terrain. All of the small ruins are just you are not able to go within them from the outside, let's say. And that's something that changes a lot of stuff. I think what surprised me the most when first seeing this pack last year exactly, that was the AdMech meta, for example. And that was also the time where many people brought Space Marine, like Iron Hands, Heavy Dreadnought lists. I think those specifically benefit a huge lot from those types of terrains that you can just step on and see the whole table through. So there's definitely differences. Be sure to check out the tournament pack and to the terrain pack specifically, and like check each specific ruin for its keywords and how exactly it plays. You don't want to get basically surprised by not knowing the rules of each terrain piece. I think you should definitely design your list around the pack. It is quite obvious, I think, but it's something worth mentioning.
So having said that about those small ruins, do you think the meta in the UK is more shooty than, let's say, it generally is in Poland, where we play WTC, where I guess from judging only from what you just said, it's harder on the WTC tables to get line of sight?
I actually don't think that's true. I don't necessarily think that getting line of sight on WTC is much harder than on UKTC with fast shooty units. So if you take, for example, like Harlequin boats, I think it's very similar which line of sights you can get and from where. Basically, if you go wide on WTC, you sometimes realize that half of the table is left open for you to shoot through. I think in UKTC, it's kind of similar, but some of the pieces are very close to the board edge. So you create those very hard angles. So if you would want to like go to the very edge of the board to actually be able to shoot behind the ruin. So it actually changes the types of shooting units you play.
That's what I wanted to add. Like, for example, on WTC board, you would never see something like Baneblade being played.
Yep.
Not like you should steal on LGT boards, because those units aren't good still, but you could actually make Baneblade shoot kind of viably on those boards, because he just touches the ruin and sees everything. When on WTC, he wouldn't leave the deployment zone.
The density of the terrain itself, I think, is less. Some of the ruins cover more. Like the huge L that every single table has is just, it's as close to the magic box as you can get, I think. Most of the time, there's a huge L that just on a square base that just covers insanely well. Like I still remember and have nightmares about seeing like 16 hive guards stacked on that L and being able to shoot the whole board with no like regard of anything and no threats of ever being shot back. So it's kind of a difficult question. We haven't played, I think, enough on those boards to solve it yet, right? We have our opinions about it from just seeing it played, but if I think to give like our honest and 100% accurate opinion, we would need to play like 10 games each on those setups.
But we just watch other people's play.
Exactly.
Okay, so still having said all that, and I guess it might not be the best time to answer that, and it might not be an easy question, but would you change your WTC lists significantly if it used the LGT rules pack and terrain pack?
I don't think it's like, you mean what I and Pumba played?
That's the thing. Do you mean our whole lineup or our specific list?
No, your specific lists.
I think Pumba doesn't give a shit.
My 36 fucking warriors don't care on what they play on. I could just play on a empty board, like just a kitchen table is fine at this point. Like I'm okay.
You know, when Pumba put it up,
I mean, I would probably swap out my hyper adaptation for the +1 to charge, which many people have brought to WTC as well. And I think on those table layouts, it was specifically wrong to bring that one instead of ignoring everything, like any modifiers to move. But yeah, I would change that and nothing else.
Okay, what about
like,
you, Typhus?
Pumba could play test games with his list at WTC when he would play on TTS and just not load up any terrain, and it would be fine.
Yeah, that was the case. Like I was at times there was specific circumstances in which I just deleted pieces of terrain because they were literally didn't matter at all.
They were just in the way of clicking.
Exactly.
Okay.
Yeah, and well, first of all, I haven't, as you might know, I haven't put that much thought into list I played at WTC. Yeah, so
yeah,
but I think the biggest change on UKTC terrain is that you cannot hide raiders really at all. So you need to change that approach, and I would probably have to choose different lists just based off that raiders aren't really viable as a transport.
Yep. However, Venoms I think are very good there.
Yeah. It's just raiders are too high and they stick out from behind any terrain.
Okay. Right. So hopefully that won't be the case, but if there is a need to penalize someone, is there any system in place on that? I can't remember who was. Okay, Typhus, you were answering last, so Pumba again. One for you.
Let's go. Penalizing people. That's my favorite part. uh, to be honest, there were a couple of situations where we had this kind of discussion. There's a specific system in place to make sure if there are any penalties given out, they are given out fairly and with consultation with everyone. There's a very similar system in place similar to WTC system, so you could get a warning, which just means you are being watched, you have done something wrong, for example, you've misplayed for your advantage. There might be multiple situations or like misbehavior or a lack of gentleman play. These all can result in you being warned. That doesn't have an immediate impact on your game at all, but that does give us precedence or we actually know that you might be given a card in the future, for example. That also is information for the player that they need to play tight and don't make that any other mistakes like this in their behavior, for example, again, because that's just not gonna fly. Other than that, we have a system of yellows and red cards. I don't believe any red card has ever been given out by us. Can you
I think
correct me?
there's like a stricter policy on even giving cards because they transfer between events and the whole circuit.
Yep.
So cards are like last resort.
Pretty much. Like they are not a common occurrence at all. Anytime the one should be given, we consult that with the whole ref team. We explain the situation wholly, and then if we come to a conclusion, a card or a penalty of some sorts should be given out, then it is. That's very rare. Like 99.5% of people coming to any UKTC event will never have that kind of situation or that kind of interaction with us. That is more to like protect the integrity of the event, right? There might be situation in which one of the players just blatantly cheats, for example, or I don't know, places 200 points more of the list that like of models than they have in their list, stuff like
Or
that.
is aggressive physically or verbally.
For example. So this kind of system, I think, is not to like threaten people or anything. It is to actually keep the game enjoyable for everyone. That is actually our main goal, right? As judges, is to make sure everyone has a good time. And like if you have a bad game with someone, you can always there's actually a system of giving sportsmanship scores after every game. Through there will be signs all over the place with like
QR
sportsmanship
code.
QR codes that you can scan, and then you have a specific website that it brings you to, and then you can give each of your opponents a sportsmanship score. It is something that we keep track of, so that we have those like actual data set of how each person behaves in their games, pretty much.
And if there was a problem that somebody didn't want to talk about during the game and didn't want to make it public, they can reach out to us this way.
Exactly, because it is a stressful social situation to like confront somebody about it, and that is something that you can definitely do like behind the scenes, right? You don't have to call us or confront it with your opponent specifically, especially because I as a player can understand the situation if like the game isn't like super enjoyable, but you don't want to make it worse. For example, you still are there to enjoy playing the game of 40k, so you would never want to make the situation worse in any way. But then you can actually give us information that that specific person didn't behave nicely, for example, or there were any problems with it. It is all in place to actually make sure people have a nice time at the event and enjoy playing the game.
Yeah, especially that it's quite a lot of games.
Exactly. There's like 10 rounds, I think, this time. 9 rounds?
Yeah, I think you have what 6 rounds Saturday, Sunday, and then all undefeated players go to Monday.
That's so many games.
That is a lot of games.
That is a lot of Warhammer. And
Yeah.
some of the people
Yeah.
will have played
In
Invitational.
the Invitational, yeah.
Holy shit, Jesus Christ. That's a lot of Warhammer.
Yeah, I think Ines Romani mentioned that it's 14 games if you play the Invitational as well and then go all the way during the main event. Shit.
And he's gonna do all of that with Eric's Australian GSC list.
Yeah.
I will be enjoying myself next to his table, especially during like around 13.
I think if Manny brought 180 racks, I would love to ask him about how his bag is feeling.
Yeah, I think he's gonna be having a
Is
harder
your lower
time
back
than
fine,
this.
mate? I don't know. Do you need it like how those elder people have those special movement, not maybe trays. I don't know how to call it. Basically a balcony. Maybe we can supply him with one.
Oh, I thought you meant movement traits for models, but you meant for the actual human, like the
Yes.
balcony
Yes.
thing.
Yep.
Yes. I just cannot speak English, so
Yeah, sure. No, neither can I. My lower back is killing me. Yep. That could be his theme song. Right. That's really cool that there is a sportsmanship like award system. I always try to implement that on local tournaments, or I think even once during the Tri-City Heresy, but nobody ever cares in Poland to fill out anything other than just
I mean, it
give
is
the
additional
score.
work, right? And we have, it's so like the level is just of and scale is just so different during those super major events. Like if you go to a tournament in Poland, you know what, half of the people, like, you actually know them, or maybe more.
You
There
meant
are some local.
90%.
Yeah, I mean, yes, but let's say I go to a tournament like I did to ref during your tournament during 3 City Heresy. Then you have like a group of people from who are local to your place, and I have probably never seen them or talked with them, especially that I'm quite new in the community relatively. So you have like some new people, but even then you know them, and then you have like people who are coming to the events and you know them from other big Polish events. In UKTC, it's everybody. If you have 900 people, I mean,
in the main event only.
it's literally everybody. There are people who will be on. That's going to be their first event ever, or there will be people that have attended every LGT so far. That's such an amount of people, and that's such a different level of like. You don't have this kind of intimate community that we do during our events. You just cannot have that. It's impossible with the amount of people there. So I think it mainly comes down to the scale factor. Like if you do similar thing
Oh
in
yeah,
Poland,
okay. I see what you
I
mean.
mean, yeah, exactly. If you know everybody, if I play some of the specific people in our community, I know exactly how they play. Like, what's the point of me filling out even you know how they play, exactly how they behaved, like next to the table, like, and during play and after the game and while drinking at the after party. We just know that stuff. So what's the point of me filling out a special score for them?
Okay, fair enough. Okay, so you guys are reffing the Invitational as well?
I will be. I don't know if Pumba will be there.
I will be arriving sometime during the Invitational. I probably not make the whole thing, but I will make at least a couple of
I will
slots.
arrive somewhere in the middle of first game.
And I will
Okay.
be like a couple of games later, I think, during third games or something. I mean,
Regardless.
it's just logistics.
Yeah, sure. Regardless, do you have any favorites?
Obviously, our boy,
Well,
Mani
yeah,
Chima.
apart from our boy.
Holy shit, this did. Oh my god, this caught me so off guard.
Oh, should have
That was
foreseen that.
gross. Oh my god, that was,
Hello.
like, kudos, man. That's pretty good. uh,
That well, like everybody should know that when we saw the whole form, just to fuck with money, we downvoted him or Ines to the very bottom because we like them. That's what we do in Poland.
that is the
It's
case.
tough love.
It is tough
here.
love. I mean, they know us. They know what we do. They should expect it by this time. At this point, yeah.
No, but seriously, talking about actually competent players who were on podium at WTC, we have two that we cheer for.
Yep.
I think you
We
agree
have
with me.
Yep. We have two of our favorites, I think. That's gonna be Myson for sure. I mean, the proper our boy, who will be then refing the main event with us, and hopefully he just smashes the invitational. And then we have Fred from Team Germany,
Our sexy boy.
our sweetheart, our cutie pie.
We're not biased at all, as you can tell.
Not at all.
So yeah, these are our definite two favorites. I mean, there are obvious contenders in the actual UK TC scene and the ITC rankings, which is definitely money. You need to like keep an eye out for him because he's a very good player, especially in singles. I think he's just proven that over and over again during the events that he can just make things work there. You have Ines, same thing. You have definitely, I think, Vic has a good shot, depending on what type of list he brings.
But we need to shine light on the lesser known players. Come on.
We do.
Like Myson or Fred.
I mean, these are definitely some of the people that have enough skill to give all of the Brits a run for the money. I think it's visible. I might just add it like an extra thing that I've noticed just from listening to other podcasts, other media, and like the Fireside podcast by Vic and David, Gentle Plug, but very good podcast. I enjoy it immensely during my work weeks when I listen to it. I think it's very informative, and it's especially interesting to me because I've been to so many UKCC events and refed it. They come to some of the conclusions we do, but actually later, right? I think this is exactly the time, from what I'm hearing from other media, like that the knights lists are evolving towards the imperial variation with Herald and just spamming 4+ info on them instead of the Tyrannis shooty stuff. And we've done that before WTC and like many months before WTC. So I think in some cases we just may be ahead of the meta because we play so much and evolve the meta in different directions than they probably do.
Yeah, but at the same time, you have people like Mani who just create their own counters to the meta, because that's what actually Mani does. I wouldn't say ever that he's just meta chaser. He usually just finds something that's good in the meta, be it something that's actually at the top of the game or something that's not really at the top. So
yep, I mean it's common across the top players over here and over there. They never like net list. It's not a thing. You cannot do that if you want to. If you're applying to actually win an event, especially of that scale, you need to make up your own meta. Basically, you need to come up with your own ideas, and they constantly do so. Like you can give Manny shit for all of the spammy stuff he does. It clearly works, and it works very well.
but we'll not stop giving him shit. Like
No, that's not a thing.
that's who we are. Like,
exactly. That's not the guy.
He's our boy.
Yeah, that would be against our nature. You've mentioned Fred and my son. Obviously, we're all rooting for them, and those two guys will also be on in one of these episodes before the LGT itself. Right, guys. anything else you want to add? I'm out of questions, so the floor is yours, if anything.
I'm so
Crickets.
looking forward to the event. I'm gonna be honest. I just can't wait.
Yeah, me
Yeah,
too.
I'm just curious if there will be many more people that we've met at WTC coming there for singles that we do not know about.
I think it's just so exciting for me as like, especially because I think last year was one of my first time actually visiting a foreign 40k event and foreign 40k scene. And after that 1 year and all that's happened, like we've been to so many like UKTC events, we've been to WTC, we've been to other international tournaments. I've just made so many friends in the international UK scene that I'm just so excited to see. Like I know most of the guys from, if not all of the guys from Team England, which are just great people. There's gonna be some people from other WTC teams as well attending, like for the Invitational, for example. So just super excited as a social event for me. I just can't wait
Same,
to socialize.
same
Yep.
for me. That's like that's what I said at the very beginning. That's what reffing is all about for me. Like obviously you get to work, but you also get to see those people that you like and detach from your like daily life. I think that's also important.
It is work, and it can be a holiday at the same time, which is just so super nice, right?
With just a lot of cramps in your legs. But
It's a chance to lose weight. You gotta keep positive.
yeah,
It
we
definitely
clearly
is.
need that. You know
I
what?
Yeah, you two guys don't
I
actually have any
I
weight to lose.
legitimately
Fair
need that.
enough.
I've eaten too many
But
ice
I
cream
can
during that
benefit from
summer.
this.
From us losing weight? How?
No, myself
I
doing
mean,
some
no.
steps.
I want. Please elaborate.
That's interesting. Aren't you doing the studio thing? Is that
Well,
gonna
we're
also
doing the
involve
studio in the
work?
evening, but during the day we're supposed to be everywhere.
It's everywhere.
I think that will be
Yeah.
hard to do.
Well,
Are we allowed
you know,
to come
impossible is
into
nothing.
your studio, by the way?
I think you might get invited at some point.
Invited.
Thank you.
Invited.
That
Yeah.
means a lot.
What if I come uninvited? What happens then?
I don't know. Well, you can try.
Oh, I'm gonna. You can trust me. I'm gonna.
Yeah, I know. I'm sure of it. All right. Anyway, thanks guys for tuning in, and to the two of you for coming in and talking with me. So as you can probably figure out by now, obviously all three of us will be at the event. So come and say hi because we all like that. Even though I might need some aspirin for that amount of people. But yeah, so that was Pumba and Typhus reffing the LGT. Thanks, guys.
And thank you very much
Thanks.
for having us.
And yeah, make sure you like and subscribe our content, especially if you're interested in the LGT, because we'll be doing quite a lot of it. Thanks for tuning in today. That was myself, Joker, and obviously our guests. Bye-bye.
The plugs. Do the plugs.
Plugs? What plugs? What do you want to plug?
Subscribe to the Contactless YouTube channel. Remember that.
Yeah, like
Share the like, comment, and subscribe.
yes, it
Give us a
helps a
5-star
lot.
review on the Spotify. What else? What
Oh
can
yeah,
actually...
we're also on Spotify and Apple Podcasts.
Exactly. See?
Come on, man.
That's
Come on,
Do
man.
your-
Yeah, so apologies. Let me rephrase that. Remember to like, subscribe, hit the bell button, comment, leave likes, hearts, or whatever on YouTube, and subscribe on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and probably any other streaming platform you can think of. We might be there, so check it out. Having said that, thanks
that
for
was
listening
better.
today.
That
Anything
was
else?
way better.
Thank you.
Good job, man.
Thanks, guys. I knew I could count on you. All right, enough of this. Bye, everyone. See you next time.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.